comments made by Mexican President Sheinbaum the other day about this case. Her complaints mainly were that the Mexican government were not involved in the plea negotiations between my client and the American government. You know, the idea that, I guess what she was asking for was that a properly extradited defendant from Mexico to the United States, that the Mexican government should be involved in the American legal process and be part of the negotiations. In addition, she felt that the American government should not even have negotiated an agreement with Ovidio Guzmán because she claims that he was a terrorist and that America doesn't negotiate with terrorists. In addition, she lastly claimed that she was unhappy that the Mexican government was not informed of various members of the Guzmán family. None of them were under suspicion of any wrongdoing inside Mexico, the fact that they came to America. Far be it from me to defend the American government. You know, I'm a defense lawyer, and I've been doing this at a pretty high level for 35 years now, and they're not exactly my friends in these cases. We don't work together. I've had some brutal trials against the American government, and I suspect if you ask the prosecutors in any of those cases what they think of me, I'm certainly not their most favorite defense lawyer. That being said, the idea that the American government would include the Mexican government in any kind of American legal decision negotiation is absurd when you take into account General Cienfuegos and his case. And as you all remember, because it wasn't that long ago, he was probably the most important Mexican ever to be indicted in the United States, and he was indicted for, among other things, for working with the cartels and protecting them from being charged. The Mexican government, after Cienfuegos was charged and arrested here, insisted that it be returned and said that they would try him themselves in a Mexican court. And he was then returned to Mexico, and immediately he was exonerated. And not only was he exonerated, despite there being an airtight case against him, but the Mexican president said that the DEA fabricated the mountain of evidence against Cienfuegos, which was absurd again. To make matters worse, the Mexican government then violated a bilateral treaty between the Americans and the Mexicans by releasing some of the evidence that the Americans had gathered against Cienfuegos. The Mexicans, by their then President AMLO, thought that was a good idea to violate that agreement. The numerous